Hi, in this video, I'm going to be going over the CCNA exam and kind of not more so the exam, but ways to kind of train for it. A lot of people, when they're getting into IT, they're trying to figure out where they want to go. Is it networking? Is it cloud? Um, Programming, DevOps, all these things going, among. But, the CCNA exam is, not necessarily just the exam itself, but the fundamentals behind it give you a good broad understanding of like networking, how networks work, routing, switching, how your a building is connected in terms of end users and devices and stuff like that. So with that, the Cisco certification, they made some changes, and now you just take one core exam to get the CCNA. And with that, a lot of people are, should I certify? Should I not? And even if you don't, studying, maybe for the different technologies are great, So if you go to Cisco's website, you go to their CCNA certification website here, and you can just, kind of look around, peruse around, and see what's, why you should certify. And then they also have like the guide if you want to look at some training stuff, like getting started. They'll have some things about the different topics and stuff like that you'll encounter. So what I'm going to do is, let me go and see if I can find the training section. Sometimes they show the exam topics that are on there. And if we go on their website, go to exam and training, go to exam topics here, and you'll see basically some of the things that you'll encounter: routers, layer 2 and 3 switches, servers, 2, 3 tier, spine leaf, these different type of characteristics you'll see on the exam. But you're probably wondering, well, how can I study for all this? Do I need to buy gear? Well, the great thing is you don't. So there's a technology called EVNG, and it's similar to GNS3 or Viral. And this is basically an emulated virtual environment that can sit on your desktop, at home, in the cloud, things like that. So there's some documentation, things like that you can go through. They talk about the different images that they support, all the way from Cisco to Palo Alto, Windows, Linux, VMware, and all the other sorts. So all the different images are here. Well, so on my site here, I actually have a how to build a Cisco CCNA lab at home using EVNG. And what I'm going to go through is kind of just a quick little setup. So as you can see, the great thing about using a virtual environment is you can kind of scale as you grow. So I'm going to log into my environment here. I could probably make this a little bigger for you here, so it's not too big, too small. So let me log in, and just a simple setup. I don't have anything too crazy. So I have a couple things running here. Let me kind of move this around. So this is a little quick setup that I have, and I can show you. Let me scroll out a little bit just to make it easier to see. So let me shut these off. And I'm not going to go too much into the details of like setting up EVNG and stuff like that. You can drop a comment down below, and I'll be sure to help where I can in like, images and stuff like that. But I'm going to close this lab for a second. And so when you come in, this is where all my different topologies sit. So as you can see, the great thing about this being virtualized is I can create as many topologies as I can with as many or as less routers and switches, and that's only going to help you, grow, basically. Allows you to test things out that you wouldn't normally be able to test out with only buying physical equipment. So I'm going to go ahead and open this lab back up here. And what we have here, so in our guide here, we have different layers that are associated with different environments. And a lot of that can just depend on the corporation you're working for, the amount of money that you have to spend. So this is a typical design you'll see like in a enterprise network where you have your core, distribution, access layer. Now this would be considered a 3-tier network because you have your core layer, which handles all your core routing, things to get out to the internet, firewall, stuff like that. You have your distribution layer, which is an aggregator between your access layers, so it can, do any maybe QoS and traffic filtering, stuff like that, before it gets to the core. And then you have the access layer, which actually sits on the end devices. So your PCs, you'll have your phones, printers, things like that. So this could be different floors, different parts of different buildings, just all sorts of things. So a lot of this design is going to go into this money. Sometimes you might have more of a collapse core where instead of this distribution layer, you might have distribution and core all at once connected down to your access layer. So when you get into this, you're going to start building a lot of complex environments. And the good thing about using EV&G is you don't need to, you can scale, like I said before, scale as you grow. So as you see, I have 3 routers here. So now we can test out dynamic routing, BGP, EIGRP, OSPF. You can get into multiple switches to test out different VLANs and things like that. So a simple little setup is here. So I got essentially a core switch, which is, can be anything up here. And I'm going to start all these. And I'm going to give you just an idea on how great it is to be able to use EV&G to study for your CCNA exam. So we got 3 particular switches here, 2 end devices. And let me see, it looks like these might have not started. Let me start these up. Start. And let me give it a refresh real quick here. Sometimes log out. Okay, so sign in. Okay, this is what I do. Well, the great thing about this is we can actually add some more switches here. And I'm just going to do 3. So if you were to buy equipment, obviously you wouldn't be able to, do it that quick. So got my 3 switches here. We're just going to connect these up. No particular, order. So now we have our switches here. Now what we want to do is also let's build in some redundancy. So let's add another path here and another path there and one more path here. So now we have redundancy across these links here. So one link fails, we can still get traffic across. Now if I try and start these, hopefully they start here. Yes, they do. So I can actually, let's stop this one. And let's stop this one. And let's bring this device. So we have PCs here. And I'm going to add 2 of these. And now we can connect this PC to this one. And let's take this PC. Oh, this didn't stop. And then, so since I'm on the free tier, I have to stop the switches to be able to connect them back up. So now that we got those started, so now those are going to start up. Let me delete these extra links here. I'm just going to show you that there really isn't much of a difference when you're configuring some of these. So if I go into my switches and let's go into enable mode, show IP, face brief. So, you know, we got our address there, show IP route. If there's any routing, none there. So now we can kind of get into configuring these different particular setups. So like now let's get into creating like a VLAN. So we can create, you know, VLAN, let's say 10, name IT. VLAN 20, name HR. And then let's see, interface, VLAN 10. Let's do a 192.168.1.1. IP address. Oh wait, let's see where are we at here. IP address 192.168.1.1. And then interface VLAN 20, IP address 192.168.2.1.255. All right, so now you see we're starting to build a simple little lab for us here. So show IP interface brief. So we got our VLANs there, so let's actually bring those up. No shut. VLAN 20. No shut. All right. So show IP interface brief. Now they're down, and we basically are going to set this in VLAN 10 and this one in VLAN 20. So on this switch here, we need to add these VLANs. VLAN 10, name is going to be, well actually, no VLAN 10. It's going to be VLAN 20 and name HR. On our other one, we're going to have VLAN 10. VLAN CompT, VLAN 10, name IT. So now we need to find which port that these devices are on. So this is on gigabit 1/0. So we need to go on this, go interface gigabit 1/0, switch port access, VLAN 10. And then what we want to do then is we'll go to this one, and we can see that this is on gigabit 1/0. So we want to put that in a specific VLAN. So now that we have these segmented by VLANs, this is going to give us like a segmentation, a way to kind of understand, you know, segmenting different portions of our network for various things, such as like security, you know, limiting a broadcast domain, stuff like that. So we're going to go, which one was it? So we're on this one, and that is on 1/0. Exit out of here, interface gigabit 1/0, switch port access, VLAN 10 or 20. So we got 20 there, and now we can exit, and now we want to save. So copy, or we could do write memory. So that way, if this was to, we were to lose access to this, or it was to restart, we would still have our configuration. Same for this switch here. So now in order to get the VLANs going across these links, we need to create trunk ports. So, you know, if we want this to be able to talk, and, you know, even to simplify some more, so we don't have to do we'll just have them coming up this way. So we got switch here, and and even more simpler, if you want, we can actually, for this sake, no, let's keep it that way. So if we wanted, we could actually keep both of these on the same particular switch, put both VLANs in and put them in separate VLANs and route them up through here. So now we say we want these to be able to get our IP addresses. We can either assign them statically or we can do it dynamically. So we can go into our switch up here, and let's do a IP So we got DHCP, DH. Actually, let me see what's the, might be IP. Yeah, there we go. So IP, DHCP, and pool, and then it's going to be VLAN, let's say 10. So now we're in DHCP configuration mode. So now we have all these options that we can basically set for the DHCP server. Now, if you as you're studying these things, obviously you're not going to know a lot of how to set these particular things up, but you can kind of know, okay, I want to assign these DHCP addresses dynamically. So sometimes you do need to go to, say, Google and type in DHCP Cisco layer 3 switch. Configuring DHCP server. So now you basically come in here, you see you got DHCP internal, your network, default router, DNS, all this stuff. A lot of the times you're only going to probably need to come up to here. Let's say even here. You got your name, your network, and then your default router. So what I'm going to do is, and then this other stuff is, more advanced once you get into like lease timeouts and things like that. So let's go back to this switch, and this is VLAN 20. Okay, so we're on VLAN 10. So network, and then it's going to be 192.168.1.5. And then as you can see, you're basically setting the network up. So the range of addresses to be leased. So we're going to do 1.5 and then 2.5. Well, let's just do 1.0 and 255.255.255.0. And then default router is going to be 192.168.1.1. Okay. So then we're going to exit out of this one, and we're going to do another DHCP IP DHCP pool, and then we're going to call this VLAN 20, and then network 192.168.2.1 or 2.0.255. Default router is going to be 192.168.2.1, and then we don't need to put so yeah, we just need to put the IP address of it there. So once we get that set up, we're going to exit out, and we're going to say write memory, get that saved, and then show DHCP. Okay, so nothing's been. Okay, so now we can go into our actual. So we need to add these as trunk ports here. So this needs to be a trunk port. This needs to be a trunk port. So basically, these need to be able to send VLANs, across other than the native VLAN 1. So, and we're going to only allow it to utilize VLAN 10 or 20 across those trunk ports. So if we go show trunk, actually show interface trunk, no trunk ports, show I. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go these here, so gigabit 0/2, we're gonna switch 11, so interface gigabit 0/2, so we go switch port, trunk, encapsulation, .1Q, switch port, mode, trunk, switch port, and then trunk, allowed VLAN, it's gonna be 1, let's do 120 or 110 and 20. Those can go across this here. And then vice versa, we're going to do the same thing on 13. We need to understand where gigabit 0/2 interface enforce gigabit 0/2 switch port mode or switch port encapsulation. What's going on here? Missing the command. Oh, switch port trunk. Encapsulation .1Q, switch port mode trunk, switch port trunk, allowed VLAN. It's 1, 10, and 20. Now, if we go out of here, it's going to probably pop a little. So show interface trunk. So as you can see, we got 1, 10, 20, and now we need to do this on this one. Now there are ways you can actually have like a VLAN trunking protocol that assigns all these automatically across your network. But when you're working within a smaller network, it's not bad to just kind of do these manually as you kind of maybe grow, or if you get into a bigger network and you got like thousands of switches, of course you don't want to then go in and have to manually do what we're doing now on like thousands of switches. So I'm going to go here, interface, and which ones do we have? We got to do this on gigabit 0/3 and 0/2. So we can actually do a interface range gigabit 0/2 and 3. Switch port trunk. So this allows us to manually do. We can assign values to multiple ports at the same time when you're using the range command, but it has to be in sequential order. So you can't go like 2 and then 4. It has to be 2, 3, 2 through 4. Like you can't skip numbers. So switch port mode trunk, support trunk, allowed VLAN 1, 10, 20. And then we're going to save this as well. So now if we do switch port, show interface trunk. Okay, so we got our trunking protocols, brief, show, man, can't type today. Okay, show IP. Okay, so we got our interfaces. Now you can see that these are in an up state. They were in a down state. If you see, where can we go? Here, down. So now let's go to our. So these are kind of like virtual PCs, really like switches in a sense. They don't do nothing. They kind of just allow you to test things. So I could ping, 192.168.1.2. Obviously, we're not getting anything back because this probably hasn't gotten a IP address yet. So let's do a show IP. Okay, nothing. So this needs to be able to talk to here to get its IP address and understand that it's sitting in VLAN 20. So let's just, obviously double check. Show the thing in the way there. There we go. So let's say show VLAN brief. So as you can see, gigabit 10, VLAN 20, show interface trunk. Okay, we got gigabit 02. So 02 is a trunk port. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and actually stop this. I'm going to start it again. And I want to try to see, we should get a IP address. Let's say show IP. So let's look at, all right, so looking at our topology here, basically we should now be able to get assign an IP address from this switch here. So I'm going to go into this device here, and if it hasn't, let's do a show IP on this one. So these PCs, they're kind of finicky. Let me try to see if I can try to discover. So it's going to do like a discover. Then let's see. Okay, so now you see we have an IP address. 192.168.1.2. Gateway is 192.168.1.1, and it can see that this is our DHCP per server. I actually did that on one of the other PCs too. And if I do a show IP now, we can see that our DHCP server is here. And it's actually using, as you can see, the interface addresses. So these what are called switch virtual interfaces. They're created, and now these can handle the routing between these two VLANs. So let's try and ping. Now, actually, which one was that I tried pinging? Something earlier. So I can actually ping 192.168.1.1 now. And let's see if we can do 2.1. Yep. And now let's see if we can do 2.2. Yes. So now that's a simple network lab, and we did a couple things here. So let's just go back through. So we got 3 switches here. This is a layer 3 switch. So it's doing our routing, it's doing some switching. You can add additional links to test. So let's say we add another link and maybe a link here. And you got a PC off on this end you want to add. You can maybe do some dynamic routing to say, hey, we can get to these different networks using, instead of just some static routes or however you set it up, we can do dynamic routing if these were like routers, of course. But, even with the switches, might be one part of the network you're trying to get to, but these links fail. Now you can go take that path. There's so many different things. And as you can see, using EVNG, not sponsored by them, by the way, but I just love their software and the ability to be able to spin up all these different scenarios. Now, again, you can just continue to build off of this. And, even if I wanted, I could even connect these two if I wanted. And then, now we have Palo Altos over here. So it's only going to grow as you grow. And that's the best benefit versus having to buy physical gear. Now, again, just a kind of short little, lab setup. Maybe try doing something like this yourself. Just a simple switch with some PCs and try to get them to connect just like we did in this lab. And the easiest way, as you can see, is to be able to just kind of keep doing it over and over again until you get the commands in your head. Again, check out the like I said, my page. I'll have some other particular labs you can do. Again, thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you next time.